Hello, this is Coach Ruckman. I want to take a few minutes and discuss the midline veer as something you might see with Air Force, Georgia Tech, I believe Army, Navy, those types of programs. And if you've been watching Georgia Southern recently upsetting Florida, if you've been watching a lot of those teams, especially that mid Division I 1A, Division I AA, those head coaches have been getting promotions fairly regularly because it is a really effective offense if you run it. I know a good bit about it. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert like in anything. These are just information that I'm trying to pass on to you. I hope this marker is plenty good for you to see. But generally, the midline veer, the people that run it a lot, run it to both 40s and 50 fronts. It's a really effective play. It also might be known as A-gap veer because this is really the place you're trying to hit. Typically the formation you might see is something like that with the two tight slots or wings, and then your wideouts of course would be out in the box, out on the edges, but we won't get into that. For sure, the two places you want to run midline is if it's a 40 front, you want to run it to the 3 tech. You want to run it to the 3 technique. If there's a backside nose or even a 1, some type of typical 40 front is ideally where you'd want to run it. Say if they showed up in 2-3 techniques, I mean that's a lot of room now. But here's generally the action. First of all, your read guy is this 3 tech right here. He's your read. Now midline, unlike the veers, is a double option. It really is only going to be the quarterback and the H-back, A-back, die-back, fullback, whatever you want to call this individual right here. Just for our intents and purposes, we'll go A, Y, H, and Q. All right, so we get to the line of scrimmage. You know you want to run midline. What definitely we would coach up here is that the track of the midline needs to be this play side center's foot. The play side center's foot. We want to make this 3 tech have the farthest distance to cover possible to make a good tackle on this individual. It starts with what I call an open the door step by the quarterback. He's actually got to step out of the way. So if it was behind, actually step out of the way to clear this lane right here for the H-back. So that's the setup right here. Blocking up front. In this would be an ideal situation. The center would just get a good block back on that nose. The guard, it's kind of like a trap concept. The guard wants to rip inside immediately to cover up that linebacker. Just like I think any good second level offensive line blocking technique, if a lineman covers a guy up on the second level, they just need to stay square, or at least always make sure the lineman's going to be right, because the running back, they're the athlete, they've got to make a cut. So here, if he got the ball and he blocked him out, we would expect the running back to cut off of it. If he had to block him in, we would expect the running back to have to cut off that. But anyway, much like a trap, he's ripping down. The tackles have easy assignments. They're blocking out. They're blocking out. This backside guard here, he's sealing the backside backer. Now, your wings on the snap, here's what I really like about this play. Pre-snap is usually motion. And really what's interesting about this run and shoot type of formation is that even though you start to run and shoot, it's a spread concept, but the slots are really tight as wings, is that really on the snap you can be in so many different formations with your motion. Right here you could be in an I formation, you can motion into almost like a half bone set, you can motion into a T set, and you're snapping the ball whenever your wing is motioned into almost a different formation. So a lot of people like to run this stuff from other formations, but what I like about the way Air Force, Georgia Tech, those individuals do it, is it kind of spreads the field by giving them a balanced look. They have to match you up. Then you can use your motion game to get a good advantage. But anyway, so we're back right here. This Y, kind of an interesting block. You don't see it a lot, but very effective. All he's got to do is come off of the tackle's butt to basically seal out that outside linebacker or any threat like that. This in the A back, whenever the ball is snapped, he's leading up through B gap. Because now what your quarterback is going to do, he's going to read the 3. If the 3 hangs out there, bam. You're just right up the gut with the H back. Great play. Can get lots and lots of yards. He makes a good cut back in there. You're going to get a lot of running room there. But if the 3 tech crashes down and makes the tackle, the quarterback disconnects, and now I always teach, replace your read with the ball. If you're keeping that ball, you're telling me the 3 technique has left his spot on the field. Well, if he's gone from that spot, that's where we want the ball to go. So this is where it's a double option, whereas maybe in your veers, inside veer, outside veer, this guy would be going to pitch. Midline is a double option. When the ball is snapped, he becomes a big gap blocker. Maybe to help on this backer, or ideally, that's probably off the screen, or ideally to block a free safety that has run up in there. So that's the basics of the midline veer. There's a lot of different things that people that are really good at it can run it. Some like the numbers you get in a 50 front. Again, I'm not as hip to that, but I'll just show you kind of what their thinking is. Because all that matters is that it works for you. All that matters is that it works for you. Say you have a nose, some type of tackle, and some type of tackle end out here, some type of 5-2 look. All right, some type of 5-2 look. Here, again, the individuals that run it, they really like this because that guy's even wider. That guy's even wider. Now, you may have to end up getting some type of combo here, or having your Y, since this is a 5-2 look, your backers are probably, you probably don't have true outside backers, you probably have more cover 2 type guys out there that are usually a little farther off the ball, a little more outside of the box. So, again, you could go ahead and just get you a good solid double here. If you want to play side, probably have him go ahead and kick. You could have him come down on him, or you could combo, whichever way you felt like your personnel was best. But the big thing is that your read now in this midline is so much farther away. Say like he's a 4-eye or even a 4. As you get a good smash down, you got to learn though, it takes a little bit of learning, because now the H's track, remember, the H's track was right outside of that center's foot. Now the H's track moves a little more in the gap oriented. All right, a little more in the gap oriented, because obviously that nose isn't going to be able to get moved. Again, same type action here. Okay, you can lead on up through there, get you an extra blocker. There's all kinds of ways you can choose to attack the 50 with it, but I prefer just to walk up there and find a 40 front and put it in like a, if you're game planning for a 40 team, work the midline a little more heavy. But the people that are really good at it, some of the very top colleges, they love to wear the midline out to the 50 as well, mainly because that read is so much farther out there now. So anyway, that's a little bit on the midline veer. Run it to the 3 tech, a little bit easier to run to the 40. And again, you end up with a lot of number of advantages in the box. Remember, it's just a double option. Don't try to put a pitch out there. Coach your quarterback, whether what type of veer you're running, replace the read with the ball. If his read is gone, he needs to attack that space, not string it outside. Again, Coach Ruckman, hope this helped give you a little insight if you hear about the midline and what the theory is behind it. Thanks a bunch.